Perfect.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. So I just, without
No
further ado, I
worries.
wanted to introduce you, Emily, to our first HSPN training session, and are grateful for your time with us. So with that, I'll turn it over to you again.
All right. Thank you. So again, as you heard, my name is Emily Cooper. I work on issues related to housing and homelessness at the state at MassHealth. I just to level set, I am not a MassHealth guru. I actually know much more about housing and homelessness than I am kind of in the belly of the beast of healthcare. So I feel like part of my job is to try and demystify or translate some of this unwieldy things. Having said that, it is healthcare insurance and acronyms and all sorts of stuff in there is unwieldy. So I will do my best, but please feel free to ask questions. I do have a lot of information. We've been doing a lot of cool stuff, and I'm thrilled that I get this opportunity to tell you about it. So I am going to talk at you for a while, and then I will take a break, answer some questions, and talk at you again, probably. Things I'm going to cover today are related to a new program called Match. We're going to talk about CSPECH, which got a new name. We're going to talk about what's called Tenancy Preservation Program. And I'm going to talk a little bit about MassHealth coverage and things like that. So let's start with the Match program. Now, you may or may not have heard about this. It's a new grant-funded program. Match stands for Mitigating the Costs of Housing. It is a goods program. It is for people who have found an apartment. They are coming out of a situation that's more kind of institutional, like jail or a nursing home or congregate care or substance use treatment or things like that, or are homeless. So someplace where they're not paying rent, or they and they don't, they're sleeping in a bed that somebody else bought, and they don't have to worry about those things. But now they found an apartment, and not only they need a security deposit and a first month's rent and moving costs, but they need to buy themselves a new bed and a couch and linens and all these things to make it a home. So this is not housing search. This is if you are in that situation and you're moving out into the community and you found an apartment and you need help to secure that apartment, to move into it, and to make it a home, you can receive up to $5,500. I want to be clear, this is a MassHealth program, but it is not a MassHealth service. It is not an entitlement. It is not a benefit. We got some grant money, and so we're using it up. So you're going to hear it's not for everybody. Not everybody gets it. It's first come, first serve, and it's going to run until the money runs out, or until March of 2025. So there is a website, and I'm going to show it to you later. I'm just going to get it ready. But all of the information I'm sharing today, besides being sent to you by Jen, is going to also be online. So you have to meet 3 criteria to be eligible. And I'm going to go through these more in depth, but one is you have to be on MassHealth and enrolled in what's known as a managed care plan. We'll talk about that in a second. That's participating in the Match program. 2, you have to have been living in a situation, like I said, where you're not paying for rent, where you are not responsible for making sure that you have furnishings and things, and you are moving out. The 3rd criteria, you have found an apartment and you're moving out, and you're moving out soon. You're moving out within the next 60 days. So let me go into these a little bit more. You have to meet all 3, though. So first of all, people say, oh, I'm on MassHealth. I have MassHealth, right? And there are kind of 2 steps to having MassHealth. The first step is you sign up. And MassHealth has a variety of flavors depending on your income and your situation. You might get MassHealth Standard, MassHealth Care Plus, MassHealth Family Assistance, Premium Assistance, Limited, Health Safety Network, a whole variety of things. The second thing that will happen is you will be offered the opportunity to enroll in what's called managed care. And managed care is when MassHealth contracts with Tufts, United, Commonwealth Care, WellSense, Signature, South Coast, some health insurance agency who's going to be in between MassHealth and you, and they're going to help you, get all the things that you need. That is called managed care. And to be eligible for this program, you must have done both of those steps. One, you're on MassHealth, on whatever flavor it is, but two, you actually have enrolled in what's called managed care. And it has to be with one of these organizations that are on the screen. And so you can look, you'll have an insurance card and it'll say Berkshire Fallon Health Collaborative or something like that. It doesn't say MassHealth. That's not we already know you're a MassHealth. We have to know that you have a second thing. Now, if what I have said makes absolutely no sense to you, which is totally fine because you're like, I do housing and homelessness, I don't do healthcare. When you're working with somebody, sit down, call the MassHealth Customer Service Center, numbers on the screen, 800-841-2900, and have the person say, am I enrolled in a managed care plan? And please tell me what that name is. And then look at this list. If they are not, you can ask, can I be enrolled in a managed care plan? And that customer service folks will talk to you through that. They'll most likely ask who their person's doctor is, and then they will try and make sure and where they live or where they're residing now, so that they try and make a good match, put you in a plan that works for you. So a person needs to be enrolled in a managed care plan. Not all managed care plans are participating in the match program. It, as I said, it's not an entitlement, it's an option. So they have to be one on the list. So that's the first thing. And I actually think this is one of the hardest parts of, because it's sort of systems change, right? Homeless providers and other folks who are not in this world are not used to thinking about, they just say, oh, I got the person on MassHealth, but thinking about managed care, these names, figuring that out can be hard. Again, please use the MassHealth customer service line. The second criteria is that you are transitioning into the community. So you have to be coming from a nursing home or residential care facility, sometimes known as a rest home, some sort of licensed group home or congregate care setting. You could be coming from a hospital or a psych hospital. You can be in an emergency shelter, unsheltered, uninhabitable housing, medical respite, transitional housing doubled up. You could be aging out of state systems of care. You could be in a substance use treatment or correctional facility. And each one of these has specific definitions. And I've included them at the end. I'm not going to walk through it all, but there are specific, like people are going to say, what does doubled up mean? What does transitional housing mean? So they're definitions and you can take a look at those. And the third thing is, remember, they had to have found an apartment. Somehow they did, or with your help, they have gone out and found an apartment already, and they're going to be moving into it in the next 60 days. And the apartment needs to be kind of in the, like what we call community-based, meaning they're paying some sort of rent or fee. Now, if they got a voucher and they're paying 30% of their income and their income's zero, that's okay. Like they're being asked to, contribute. They have an apartment and some place to sleep, and they have some privacy, and they can lock their door, and they have a key, and they can put posters on the wall if they want to, and the landlord says it's okay. They can come and go. If they sleep at a friend's house, there's no report of, an elopement, nobody, it's okay. They can go to the fridge in the middle of the night and have a snack or have a friend over, as long as they're meeting, they're a good tenant and they're meeting the requirements of the lease, that's what community-based housing is. So we recognize that people in this situation might be getting ready to move into the housing. Let's say I have a lease. I found an apartment for September 1st. So we recognize you might need a security deposit or a first month's rent or something like that before September 1st. So you can apply, you can start the match process up to 60 days before that September 1st, up to 60 days before you move in. And then when you get there, we realize, oh, you haven't spent your $5,500. You may need to buy a couch or a shower curtain. So you can continue to request items up to 60 days after you move in. So there's this sort of window of 120 days, and it pivots on the date that your lease is in effect. So if you're moving and your lease starts September 1st, you can request items 60 days before September 1st and 60 days afterwards. And you submit one application, and as long as you haven't met the quotas that we'll talk about in a second, you can continue to request items. So I will tell you, we have a cute little, which I'll show you in a second, a cute little, very brief, I think it's 4-question tool online to find out if people are eligible. I really, really highly suggest that you do that first. We've designed it so you ask these 4 questions. If you answer yes, then it takes you exactly to the right place you need to go and what you need to do for your next steps. I'll show it to you in just a few seconds. So what do we pay for? So it's $5,500 for up to 25 items. And there's a specific item list, which I'll show you in a sec. Let me talk about the who is eligible issue. So if you are working with a family, and remember, there's those 3 criteria: MassHealth and managed care plan, transitioning, and found an apartment. So a family in EA shelter, they're all transitioning out of EA shelter. They've found an apartment, but only 3 of the 5 people are on a MassHealth managed care plan. Then you can get 3 times $5,500, 3 times 25 match items. So you can get 75 items, even if one of those 3 is a minor child. So it's per individual. So each individual is up to $5,500 and up to 25 match items. And you get it really once. I mean, this is a one-time program until we run out of the money. So you get it for one, what we're calling move into the community. So again, with that EA family, they found an apartment, they move, great, you got it once. If by some unfortunate circumstance, the person loses that housing and returns to shelter or goes to some situation and they are found an apartment again and are eligible again, they could apply again and get it for another $5,500. The odds of that happening are probably, hopefully, because I don't want them to lose apartments, are slim, because the program still needs to be up and running and still have money, and it's a first come, first serve. So I just wanted to say it is possible, but probably not probable. So what kinds of things does Match pay for? And we'll go, and I said there's a very specific list, but in general terms, it's furniture and furnishings and personal care, toiletries, clothing, food pantry, like stocking, spices, and condiments. Utilities, I just want to take a moment there. We will pay setup fees and deposits. And if for some reason you cannot start your new utilities because you owe arrears, we will pay off the arrears. But nothing can be a recurring cost. So it's just a one-time utility setup, one-time payment of an arrear to set up that utilities. We will pay security deposits and first month's rent. We cannot pay for last month's rent. We will pay for moving expenses, vans, packing, things like that. If there are one-time fees in the lease related to a parking space or other things, again, one-time costs, not recurring. Pest eradication or one-time cleaning, and if there are special equipment that insurance won't pay for, we can look into that as well. How do we make these payments? We do not give money to the person. So we have a vendor behind the scenes who is processing applications and making payments, and it's done one of 2 ways. One is through electronic funds transfer or EFT payments. So if you request a security deposit or utility or moving costs, something to an organization, we will do that through an EFT payment. And those happen, the vendor who is behind the scenes doing this checks applications 7 days a week and processes EFTs Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I always get the question of how quickly does this happen? The EFTs payments are prioritized and they happen very quickly once all the information is in the application. The hardest part is getting all that information in. So you will need to upload some sort of documentation about what the cost is, a copy of the lease, a copy of the utility invoice, something like that, a copy of the invoice from the moving company. And that agency or person will need to give us bank routing information so we can do the EFT payment. So those 2 things are what sort of takes the longest. But once those are in the system, we can process the EFT payment very quickly. In those situations where the person says, I don't want to take an EFT, sorry, landlord says, I'm not going to give you the bank routing information, I'm not going to do it. We can do checks. checks will take up to 2 to 3 weeks to process though. So as to EFT is every 1 to 3 business days. We really, really suggest if you can convince somebody not to do a check, that is the best option. Okay. Other thing is we will make purchases for you online. So all of those things that you want, towels or sheets or cups or whatever, you tell us what website and we will we will buy those purchases for you. We will order them. We will track them and get them sent to whatever delivery address you put into the application. Couple of notes, because this program's been up and running, so we have some lessons learned. Make sure whatever you buy is going to fit in the apartment. There are no returns. There are no refunds. If it doesn't fit, there's not much we can do about it. Make sure you have a friend coming over to help you lift that heavy item and put it into your apartment. Make sure you have a screwdriver or a handy person to put together the IKEA thing. We don't do any of those things. And make sure you're getting it delivered to a safe place. Unfortunately, as you know, there's a lot of theft of packages and that has happened. The $5,500 includes any shipping costs, any service plans, setup fees, warranties, anything you want to do. As I said, consider this a gift. There are no returns or refunds. So if you get something, it's not what you want, you can talk to the place you bought it from directly and say, I got this as a gift, or you can do what you would like with it, sell it on eBay, get what you want, whatever, I don't know. But these are considered gifts. There are no returns. This is the full list of everything. Sorry, this is half, because I have another slide of the full list. And you can see it's all online, but it ranges from an air conditioner to a fire extinguisher to cribs and bassinets and baby chaining stations and bunk beds and everything you can possibly think of. And I will say I get the weird requests, and I, as much as possible, try and say, yes, this works. Let's fit it in there somewhere. What did I get recently? A chainsaw. That was a tough one. I was trying to figure out where to fit that in, but it has to be related to the home. So we don't do car seats, for example, for babies, because that's related to the car. So it really has to be related to the home. This is the second half. Don't worry about scribbling madly. Both you'll get it sent to you, and this list is online, but you can see rugs and shower curtains and things like that. You can get up to 25 things on this list, or up to $5,500, whichever comes first. Note that if you ask for a security deposit and a first month's rent, those are going to be 2 of your 25. If you ask for a pack of socks, and the 8 come in a pack, it's going to be 1 of your 25, because it's just one URL that we have to track and take care of. But if you asked for 2 lamps, for example, it's going to be 2 items that we have to track. Or if you ask for 5 shirts in 5 different colors, but it's all the same shirt, it's 5 of the 25. So really, what I would suggest if you're working with somebody is as much like bedding set, dish set, things like that. The set idea will count as one thing, and you'll get much more out of that 25 item list. Just a note, we do allow for 1 month supply of. So 1 month supply of toiletries, you'll see that on this list. 1 month supply of toiletries, 1 month supply of pantry supplies, 1 month supply of cleaning supplies, and those will be up to 15 items. We consider 15 things to be 1 month supply. And that would count of the 1 month supply is 1 of your 25, but within that 15 things would fit, deodorant, shampoo, whatever it may be. All right, so now I've told you all about the program, and I think the most difficult part is how do you apply? Because this is MassHealth, your health insurance provider applies, and that's a weird concept, right? So they are the only agencies that can submit applications. There's an online portal that's secure, and they submit applications on behalf of the person who is eligible. They must include what's called a transition date, which is the date the lease goes into effect. And that triggers, remember, there's 60 days before and 60 days afterwards. And they can request within that time frame of up to 120 days, they can go up to 25 items or $5,500, whichever happens first. If you want to buy one rug for $5,500, go at it. Like we don't say how much each item can be. You can buy a really expensive table, blow it all on one thing, done. That's fine. Each of the health insurance agencies, the managed care plans, have specific designated staff who have trained and completed in completing and submitting these applications online. They know they've been working with you, working with people, and helping them submit the applications. And they are the conduit. Like if we email them and say, hey, we've ordered this for you, they're supposed to let the individual know, hey, we've ordered it and it's coming. These again are the list of the agencies that are participating in the match program. And if you don't, I'll keep showing this. If you don't know, if you're in one of these organizations or enrolled in it, please call the MassHealth Customer Service Center, or you would like to enroll in please call the MassHealth Customer Service Center at the bottom of the screen. When each of these agencies, if you pick up your insurance card and you call the number on the back and say, I want to enroll in match, they will say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Each of the agencies on that list who's participating has given a specific person or phone number who knows about the match program. So if you can click on this PowerPoint, and I will show you online too, and it generates an email specifically, in this case, to a woman named Rania in the Berkshires, and Rania handles all the match things. So do not call your health insurance company. Do not call the number on the back of your MassHealth card or the number on the back of your insurance card and say, I want match, because you're going to be frustrated. What you do need to do is call the numbers on your screen now, which are also on the website that I'll show you. And those are the people who know. Okay, that I can't say that enough, because I feel horribly when people call the wrong number and then they're like, this program stinks, I can't reach anybody. And I say, wait, who did you call? And they say, I called the 1-800 number on the back of my card. They had no idea what I was talking about. No, there's a specific person. We're trying to make it easy. You have one point of contact for the match program. You don't have to go through their customer service. So what do? If you are an individual interested in applying for match, first, we're going to go online. I'm going to show you the eligibility tool. We're going to find the right match contact. We're going to reach out to them and say, I'm interested in match. They're going to say, I need some information about your situation, about what you need assistance with. If it is something where you want eligible items bought on your behalf, they're going to say, give me those URLs, what items on the list. So the more you can be preparing for that, the better. Look at the list online, see what you're interested in, shop already, have those URLs ready, have an address that's safe to get them delivered to. If it's going to be a first month's rent and security deposit, start getting that bank routing information, that lease. If it's going to be utility company, get the utility invoice. Pull those things together, because that's the hardest part of pulling together the application. And then once it's submitted, then you will hear back from the health insurance plan, okay, these things are being ordered and things like that. I'm just going to take a moment and show you the website. I know I'm talking at you so much, and I also know that there are questions, so I apologize. Let me just share my screen, but I can't find it. Give me 1 second.
Emily, you don't have a problem with me sending out the slides afterwards?
No.
Okay.
I was assuming and hoping you would.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is the website. It's on the slides. Just of note here, eligibility. We talked about those 3 criteria. There are links to definitions of what these things mean. Here's this fun little tool. It should take just a few seconds. Find out if you might be eligible. Am I currently living in one of these following situations? If I say no, it's going to say, unfortunately, you're not eligible at this time. If I say yes, it's going to say, have you found housing you're going to move into in the next 60 days? Yes. Are you currently enrolled in these plans? If you don't know, call these numbers. If you are, then you say yes. And then it takes you, click here to contact your plan. And it takes you back to that list of, and when I click on this, it's going to generate an email, or I find mine. I'm on Tufts Unify. So I'm going to find Tufts Unify. I'm going to click on this and it's going to generate an email to exactly the right person I need to talk to about Match. Taking you back, and here's just sort of insurance cards that, you know, what an insurance card looks like. Taking you back a little bit, I just want to show you what we cover. All the things I talked about here, what items are covered. This is a specific list of all the items. If it's not on the list, it's not eligible. You can order up to 25 items from the list below. And some of the things I talked about apply, how you use that 25 items, things like that, 1 month supply, that's all here as well. So I wanted to make sure and that you saw this. I'm going to stop for a second and just take some questions, if that's okay. With the individual to be able to put some of the money against monthly rent. Unfortunately, it has to be first month or security payment. So it's the first month's rent that it would be put towards, but it couldn't go to the next month's rent. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Is Match available for those individuals that have limited MassHealth insurance? Unfortunately, it's not, because those folks are not eligible to be in one of those managed care plans. Those are usually people who are undocumented and they get a very small, not very robust healthcare. Can this program be combined with other agencies that offer cash assistance? You can't duplicate with other MassHealth resources. So some of you may be familiar with something called Flexible Services, which does something which provides similar assistance. So you can't do that. But if you had somebody on home base, and they did a security deposit and first month's rent with home base and did furnishings through Match, that's totally fine. Oh, okay. I don't have a lot of other questions. Does anyone want to raise their hand before I switch to another topic? And I will put the website in the chat. Okay, so we're really excited about this program. I know it's sort of a little bit different than what you're used to, you know, talking to the health insurance provider and things like that. But I'm keeping them honest, and they are getting up to speed, and we're trying to serve as many people as possible before the money runs out. So my other updates, I just want to flag, people are familiar, I think, with CSPECH, the Community Support Program for people experiencing chronic homelessness. We have recently renamed it. It's kind of like Kentucky Fried Chicken and KFC. It's the same thing, so don't freak out. It's called CSPECH. If you call it CSPECH, we will know what you're talking about. But one of the reasons we renamed it is because we also expanded it to serve people who are homeless, but not chronically homeless. So it serves people who are chronically homeless. That's the second C in CSPECH, right? But now it also serves people who are not chronically homeless, but they're homeless and they've been in and out of the emergency room or in and out of hospitals. So we heard that there's a whole bunch of people who aren't on a chronic homeless list or don't meet that definition, but they're cycling in and out of healthcare and they are homeless. So we've expanded CSPECH to serve that population as well. We have also, prior to this, CSPECH was also only available to people who were in one of those managed care plans I mentioned on Match, WellSense and Fallon and all those things. But now you don't have to be in one of those. So you can get CSPECH from a CSPECH provider if you are just in what we call fee for service. We also established a rate that increased a fair amount. I think it was $17 previously, and so now it's $27, almost $28 a day. So that's exciting news on CSPECH. We have also created or expanded another program. So there is the Tenancy Preservation Program you may be familiar with in your area. That's, I think, Father Bill's and Mainspring, where they're embedded in housing court and they're helping with eviction prevention. And it's a state-funded program. It couldn't meet all the demand, and it was helping a lot of MassHealth members. So we've made it a MassHealth program, as funded program as well. And really what that means is we brought another funding source to the table, And so Father Bill's in Mainspring, we hope in your area will be able to staff up and be able to serve many, many more people in the tenancy preservation program by billing MassHealth for many of the services they provide. All right. Lastly, I just want to talk about the fact that we, in the middle of this, I've told you all about these great MassHealth things, but in the middle of this, we are also renewing everybody's MassHealth coverage. And that is because the federal government is making us do that. And unfortunately, a lot of it is being done by mail. We have a deal with DHCD or HLC for the EA shelters. So we have address updates from people, and we are getting mail to folks in EA shelters. For individuals who are experiencing homelessness, we are working on doing events in shelters throughout the state. So let me tell you a little bit about this process. It started in April. It will run for a year. It's kind of like recertification in housing. You basically have to redo your paperwork and prove to us that you're still eligible for MassHealth. Because during COVID, we let you stay on it and we never checked, and now we have to check. And this is again what the federal government is saying. Luckily, well, maybe not luckily, but we are trying as much as possible to automatically renew people through deals with other agencies. So if we can get information about you confirmed through another agency, we'll renew you automatically. So people on SSI, people on TANF will most likely be renewed automatically. But we can't guarantee because every situation is different. So if you get a blue envelope, frankly, if you get any envelope, but if you get a blue envelope, if somebody gets a blue envelope from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, from MassHealth, from somebody, please make sure they open it. I know it's not the thing you really want to open, but if you don't respond, it's possible you will lose your coverage and not be able to get match or CSPECH or this tenancy preservation, any of those things. So one way you guys can help is to help people prepare, make sure they know that there's a big blue envelope coming, which I'll show you a picture of. Make sure people are looking for mail. Make sure they are updating their address with MassHealth if they have, or changing it to their moms if they're moving from place to place. There are 3 sources of information that are your trusted sources in the community, and please make sure that folks, if they have any questions, are contacting them. So they're the MassHealth Enrollment Centers, or MECs. Those are physical place. There are 7. You can make a phone appointment, a virtual appointment, or in-person assistance. We also have certified application counselors, or CACs, that are community-based organizations that when I was on a call recently, so like Community Counseling of Bristol County said, we're a CAC. You can go there, you can talk to them on the phone, you can get free assistance with your MassHealth questions that you might have, and they will help you with your application. And then there is the Customer Service Center. So feel free to call the Customer Service Center. It's open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, all sorts of languages. If you have people with low literacy, this is the best way to go, or who speak a different language. They will help you soup to nuts. If there is a wait time, they will have a virtual hold where they will take your number and call you back. We are working with these shelters that are listed here. We're working with DHCD or HLC to identify shelters that are interested in having on-site MassHealth staff that are CACs, those community-based organizations, come to their shelter on specific days and provide help to whoever is there, and because we realize you can't wait for the mail to come. The mail might not ever come. So these shelters will be having events in their communities. This is the website with all sorts of information about MassHealth renewals. And then lastly, once the person, we have done all these great things and we have renewed their coverage and they're all set and they're on MassHealth, we're instituting a policy where they don't have to do this paperwork again for 24 months. Normally they have to do it every 12 months, but people experiencing homelessness will only have to do it every 24 months. That's based on people who are in HMIS, Homeless Management Information System. All right, I have talked nonstop for however long that was. And I see we have a see if we have any questions. That was a lot of information and some of it pretty wonky.
I know there has to be questions out there.
So I do have in the chat that if you know somebody who's 65 and older and needs help with their MassHealth coverage, Jessica from Coastline told me that they're doing some events, and if they need help, they can call Coastline.
Oh, I guess everyone's just memorized all this information, so that's.
You know what? I memorized it, but I see a few people doing this, like their head is going to explode. So I don't think they've memorized. I think they're just all a little overwhelmed. But if you have any question, oh, I see a question. What exactly would be doubled up or transitional housing? So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to go to the website and show you under the frequently asked questions, you can see those things answered. So what was the question? It was doubled up. For the purposes of the match program, a doubled up situation is defined as one in which a MassHealth member is sharing the housing of another person because they can't afford their own, and the housing provides insufficient space to accommodate all residents, and or the person's not allowed to stay there because they're violating the lease of the person they're staying with. What is considered transitional housing? For the purposes of the match program, transitional housing is considered temporary, time-limited housing in which residents are required to move after specified period of time. They may have some sort of written occupancy agreement, but it doesn't allow them to stay longer than what they have agreed to.
It's great that they actually have that kind of, back and forth on the website. You can really, get into some of those details.
We tried to anticipate everything.
Yeah.
So you may have other things that you want to cover. I could stick around in the background for a little while if people have questions or maybe you have other business and we can give people 15 minutes.
That's it. It's never a bad thing to give people time back in their day. So, well, we're very, very appreciative of all this information and for your willingness to come and do a specialized little conversation with us to give us this information. I want to thank you, Emily, and thank everyone that was able to join us here today. The HSPN is trying to do a number of these trainings and resource sharing events. The next one coming up is going to be where we talk today about MassHealth, and that we're talking about Medicare next time. And so we'll be sending out notes of that.
All healthcare experts.
There you go. So Medicare will be the next one. It's going to be on August 9th that morning. And we're actually doing that. It's going to be Fall River, GB Catch, and New Bedford. We're getting together for one big party. So the entire county will be available. This will be available to all. Because so many of you cross, continuum lines. And so we want to open that up for everybody. So that'll be on Medicare. We have a Shine counselor from Dartmouth that's going to be providing that information and talking about, public benefits, Medigap information, and, how you can qualify when you're 65, which is what I am rapidly approaching. So we will have that. We will be sending that out. If you receive notice of this, that must mean you're on the HSPN list. And if you did not receive notice of this meeting and you miraculously just happened upon it through a referral of a friend and you wish to be on our mailing list, simply send me an email at jennifer.clark@newbedford.ma.gov. So, and I can put that in the chat. But if there are no, you asked a question here about, let's see, can these programs be used for someone moving into subsidized housing? Emily, that's the.
Yep. We don't, yeah, as long as it, no problem. It's more about where they're coming from. But if they're homeless, for example, yeah, no problem.
Great. All right, that is my email address in the chat box if anyone needs to reach out and get on the email list. But that's it, going once, going twice. If there are no further questions for Emily, we thank you. We are going to be sending out a copy of the link to this recording as well as the PowerPoint slides to the HSPN list. So you will be able to access that at that time. So with nothing else, thank you so much. Enjoy the next 16 minutes of your life and have a great day. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.